Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. And today we are going to be diving into The Incredible Hulk, the 2008 film.
The one with Edward Norton.
Yes, exactly. And we have been given a Wikipedia article and a film analysis essay, which I think is perfect because this movie has kind of layers, you know what I mean? Like there's the
Yeah.
like on-screen stuff, but then also there's a lot of like behind-the-scenes intrigue with this film, you know?
It's a really fascinating case study, I think. Like just where it sits in the MCU.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
a really strange one.
Exactly. And it is a requel. So it's both a reboot and a sequel, right?
Yeah.
To the 2003 Ang Lee Hulk. But here's where it gets like really, really interesting. So Marvel got the Hulk film rights back for this film,
Right.
but Universal kept distribution.
Kept distribution.
And that's fascinating, right?
Yeah, and that actually explains why we see Edward Norton as Banner in this film.
Yeah.
But then Mark Ruffalo in every subsequent appearance.
Yes.
There's a whole story there.
Yeah. Ooh. We are going to get into all that casting drama. We will definitely get to that later. But first, can we talk about the fact that they fit the entire origin story into the opening credits?
It's very bold.
I mean, how often do you see that in a superhero movie?
Not very often at all.
Mm.
I think it was smart, though, because most people going to see this movie already knew the backstory of the Hulk.
Yeah, that's true.
So it was kind of like, okay, we're just going to get that out of the way.
Yep.
We can focus on the now. This is where he is now. Let's move on with the story.
And they do such a good job. Like, we see Bruce and Betty's relationship.
Right.
We see General Ross on his trail. We see the Gamma accident. Boom, boom, boom.
All in like 60 seconds.
I know. It's crazy efficient. I was
Yeah.
very impressed with that. It just gets you right into it.
Yeah, and it highlights, what makes this Bruce Banner different from an Iron Man or a Thor. He's not looking for superpowers.
Yeah.
He doesn't want superpowers. He wants to get rid of the Hulk. That's his main motivation.
Yes.
Which is really interesting because if he succeeds,
We don't get a movie.
we don't get a movie.
What-
Like, what are we watching?
Exactly. So in a way, we're kind of rooting for him to fail, at least initially.
A little bit, yeah. And they use that metronome as a really nice visual representation of like
Yes.
his struggle to like control his heart rate and
Yep,
stuff.
like a ticking time bomb, almost, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, and next I wanted to mention Brazil. What a cool setting.
Yeah.
I love that they took us to Brazil.
Yeah.
It's so unexpected for a superhero movie.
Yeah.
It feels so fresh.
It really emphasizes how he is on the run. He is desperate. He is like a fugitive from himself, essentially.
Yes. And who can forget that blood drop in the soda bottle scene?
Oh, man.
I mean, talk about tension. It's just like one tiny slip up can unravel everything for him.
It's a classic inciting incident, you know? That one drop of blood, that's what sets the whole main plot in motion.
Yep, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this brings us to Emil Blonsky, who I found fascinating.
Really interesting character.
He starts out almost like admiring the Hulk, like, wow, this is amazing. Yeah, like in awe of this power,
Yeah. But then it shifts into this obsession with wanting to get that power for himself.
It shows that kind of seductive nature of power
Right.
and how it can corrupt you.
Yeah. And then the conflict isn't just Bruce versus Hulk. It's Blonsky versus Hulk.
Right. And even Ross versus Blonsky by the end.
Yes. Everything's changing.
I think it's impressive how the movie keeps those different character arcs
Yeah.
and motivations straight.
Yeah, totally. And okay, remember that moment where Bruce is like, I think I'm cured.
Oh, yeah.
And it feels like the climax of the movie.
Way too early.
It happens way too early.
Like, wait a minute. This is supposed to be the ending?
I know. That's the genius of it, though, right?
It's a midpoint twist. It's a false victory. He gets what he wants, and it backfires horribly.
And then it forces him to bring the Hulk back,
Yeah, exactly.
which is the opposite of what he wanted in the beginning.
It's like, okay, I was wrong. I need this.
Yeah.
I need this part of me.
Yes. It's such a good twist. And then, of course, we have to talk about Edward Norton. I mean, the behind-the-scenes drama with him.
Oh, yeah, it's legend. Yeah.
And eventually getting replaced by Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
I mean, our sources mention creative differences with the
Yeah.
studio about, like, where they wanted to take the character.
Right. And ultimately, Marvel decided to recast,
Yeah.
which is a shame in some ways,
Yeah.
because I think Norton's performance in this film is really good, actually. And you can see how it laid some groundwork for the Hulk that we see later on.
Totally. It makes you wonder, like, what would it have been like if he had stayed on?
Yeah. What if?
Yeah, what if? Okay, well, we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will continue to dive into all the nitty-gritty details of the Incredible Hulk, so don't go anywhere.
Yeah, it's like a real what if for Hulk fans.
Totally.
But But even with the casting change, I think this film has so much to offer, you know, and our sources really delve into that, you know,
Yeah.
like the choice to put the origin story in the opening credits.
Right.
Our film analysis essay,
Yeah.
like breaks that down, and it's actually really effective.
Yeah. I mean, they fit in so much, right? Like,
So much.
we see Bruce and Betty's connection. We see the danger of the experiment. We see, like, Ross's pursuit.
Yeah.
And it's all without any dialogue.
Yeah.
It's all just visual.
And they even do interesting things, like when we're looking from the Hulk's point of view,
Yeah.
everything is distorted, you know, and
Yeah.
then when it cuts back to Banner,
Yeah.
everything kind of settles down.
Yeah.
And it's back to normal.
Yeah. It's such a smart choice. And it keeps the audience grounded, right?
Yeah.
Like, you always know whose perspective you're seeing things from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It adds to that kind of psychological depth as well, because we're experiencing it along with him.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the essay really highlights how unique Bruce's motivation is in this film.
Yeah.
Like, he's not trying to become a hero. He's not trying to get revenge.
Right.
He just wants to get rid of this thing.
He just wants to be normal.
Yeah.
He wants to suppress the Hulk. And that's not a typical hero's journey,
Not at all.
you know? That's what makes him such a relatable character, I think,
Yeah.
you know? Because we all have those parts of ourselves that we're fighting against, you know?
Lord.
We all have those inner demons that we try to keep at bay.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see a superhero who's dealing with that.
Absolutely. Like, he's not on this journey to become powerful. He's on a journey to
Yeah, to get rid of power.
like, get rid of power.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those moments where he succeeds, like when he manages to hold back the Hulk, those become even more meaningful.
Remember that scene in Brazil when he's meditating?
Yes.
And then the trainer just like claps him on the shoulder
Mhm.
and his heart rate monitor starts going crazy.
Oh, yeah. That's such a good scene. Just shows how easily he can lose control.
Yeah, and how he's always kind of on edge. You know, he's just one trigger away from transforming.
Yeah. Speaking of Brazil, I thought that was such a cool choice of location.
Yeah, it was a good choice.
You know, it's not your typical...
No, New York City.
Yeah, it's not New York. It's not, you know,
And it's
a
not
big city.
Yeah, it's very isolated, which makes sense because he's on the run.
Exactly. Yeah, he wants to escape
Yeah.
not just Ross, but like himself
Yeah.
and the Hulk.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have that whole incident at the factory where his blood gets in the soda bottle.
Oh, that's bad luck.
I mean, talk about bad luck.
Just one little drop of blood and it's all over.
I know.
You know, it's a great example of how even the smallest mistake can have like these massive repercussions for Bruce.
Yes. It's almost like fate is pushing him towards this confrontation.
It is. Yeah, it's like he
Right.
can't escape it.
Yeah, totally. Okay.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about Blonsky.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
He's so interesting, right? Because you see him starting out as this, like, awestruck admirer of the Hulk.
Yeah, like, wow, this guy's incredible.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
But then that admiration turns into
Obsession.
obsession.
Yeah, he wants that power.
Yeah.
No matter what the cost.
No matter what the cost. Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting
Yeah.
kind of cautionary tale, you know,
Yeah.
about how that kind of envy and that kind of desire for power
Yeah.
can really corrupt you.
Totally. And, like, the film doesn't shy away from the dangers of that kind of ambition, right? Like,
Right.
look at Ross.
Yeah.
I mean, he is so fixated on, like, weaponizing the Hulk
Yeah, he wants to control him.
that he's willing to risk innocent lives.
Yeah, it makes you wonder who the real monster is
Yeah.
in some of these scenes.
Yeah, it's a very complex situation, you know. You've got these different perspectives on power and how it should be used
Right.
and contained.
Yeah,
It's not just a simple good versus evil story.
there's a lot of nuance there.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and then there's that part where Bruce thinks he's Cure.
Oh, yeah, with Dr. Stern.
Yeah, he's with Dr. Stearns, and it's like, everything seems to be going well.
It seems like it's going to be a happy ending.
I know.
Right.
But it's like, no, wait a minute.
Too good to be true.
Too good to be true. What's going on?
It's that midpoint twist again. You know?
Yes.
It's like he thinks he gets what he wants, but it actually backfires in the worst way possible.
Yeah, because that's what leads to Blonsky's transformation, right?
Right.
Into abomination.
It's kind of ironic.
That's ironic. Yeah.
He tries to suppress the Hulk, and he ends up creating something even more dangerous.
Yes. It's so good.
And it's a turning point for Bruce, I think, because it forces him to confront the reality. That
Yeah.
he can't just get rid of the Hulk. He has to figure out how to live with it.
Yeah.
How to coexist with this other side of himself.
It's a powerful message, right?
I've got acceptance.
Like accepting
Yeah.
the parts of yourself that you don't like, right?
That you might not understand.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it leads directly into that final battle with Abomination, which is just a spectacle.
Oh, it's so good, yeah.
But it also has all this like thematic weight behind it. It's like all of those internal struggles that Bruce has been going through are now made external in this.
Yes. It's like a made physical.
Yeah, this giant monster fight.
Yeah. And you see, like, amidst all the destruction, you see glimpses of, like, the Hulk's potential for good.
Right.
Like when he shields Betty from the falling debris.
Yeah, he's not just a mindless monster.
Yeah.
He's capable of...
There's compassion there.
Yeah, compassion and heroism.
Yeah.
And it's that duality that makes him so interesting, right?
Yes.
He's both destructive and protective, monstrous and heroic. And this film really lays the groundwork for how that duality is going to continue to play out in the MCU. Totally, yeah. Yeah, and I love that ending, with him meditating in the cabin in British Columbia. Yeah. It seems like he's finally in control.
Yeah, there's this real sense of self-acceptance.
Yeah.
He's not trying to destroy the Hulk anymore.
Right.
He's learning to live with it,
Yeah.
To find some sort of balance.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. Like, it really sets the stage for his arc in the later MCU films.
Totally.
Where we see Bruce and Hulk eventually working together.
Yeah, and that final shot of him turning green with that like little smile. You know, it's like...
It's so good.
Oh, I can't wait to see what happens next.
Yeah, it leaves you wanting more.
Yeah, totally. And then, of course, that post-credit scene with Tony Stark.
Oh, man.
Come on.
That's when you know it's all connected.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Okay. We do have to circle back to Edward Norton, though,
Yeah, it's a shame.
It's a shame that it didn't work out with him in Marvel.
It is, yeah. But it happens, you know, especially with these big franchise films.
Yeah.
There's so many different visions at play, and sometimes they clash.
Yeah, it's true. And it kind of makes you wonder what could have been.
It does.
If he had stayed on,
Yeah.
But I mean,
but they nail it.
Mark Ruffalo brought his own, like, amazing energy to the role.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine anyone else as the Hulk now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he really made it his own.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, well, I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
I think so.
We looked at the origin story, the unique motivations of the protagonist, all the complex conflict.
It's behind-the-scenes drama.
The behind-the-scenes drama.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what does it all mean?
What have we learned?
What have we learned? What are the big takeaways?
Well, I think it's a reminder that even a superhero film can explore some pretty deep themes, like Bruce's struggle for control, the allure and danger of power, the ethical implications of, like, scientific advancements. I mean, these are all
relevant.
Yeah, like relevant and thought-provoking issues,
Totally. And the film doesn't shy away from any of it.
No, it embraces it.
Yeah.
It shows us multiple perspectives.
Yeah.
Different sides to each argument.
It's not black and white.
It's very nuanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
It also showcases, I think, the power of visual storytelling. The opening credits sequence, the way they use the camera to convey, like, Bruce's perspective versus Hulk's perspective. It's just so well done.
It's so well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it really reminds us that, like, film is a visual medium, right?
It is, yeah.
And when it's used effectively, it can really enhance the story in a really powerful way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I also think this film, it demonstrates that, like, even within this massive franchise, like the MCU, these individual stories can stand on their own.
Like The Incredible Hulk, it gives us a complete arc for Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
Really satisfying exploration of his character.
Totally.
Even as it sets the stage for bigger things to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into The Incredible Hulk.
It's been a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure. And to all of our listeners out there, we covered a lot, but the conversation doesn't have to end here.
It doesn't, no.
No. And I think, the big question now is where does the Hulk go from here?
That's right.
You know, this film really laid the foundation for this incredible journey.
It did.
That he's going to go on through the rest of the MCU.
Yeah.
A journey that's still unfolding, you know?
It is, yeah.
So what new challenges will he face?
What new depths will he explore?
It's exciting.
It's an exciting time to be a Hulk fan.
It is. It is an exciting time to be a Hulk fan. Well, thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Be sure to check out our show notes.
For links to the sources.
For links to all the sources that we used. And until next time, keep on learning and keep on smashing those subscribe buttons.
That's right.